Welcome to Combat Sports Talk, a podcast dedicated to UFC and Bellator discussion, the MMA community, and combat sports in general. I'm your host, Ryan Smith, and joining me this week, as he does every week, is my co-host, KC Knockout Onyebuchi.
I am Spartacus.
Oh, wow. I like that.
I'm digging that. I don't know where that came from, but yeah, that happened.
Well, you know, hey, here's a cool thing, because when you said that you had your watch, did you know on the original recording of Spartacus, there are Spartans who have wristwatches?
That is the ultimate movie nerd.
That's me. But I'm not just a movie nerd.
The more you know.
The more
you know.
So here we go. War Weekend. I told you about it.
Yeah. Was it really all that we anticipated?
Hey, let me say it like this. War Weekend didn't disappoint as Bellator and UFC put their talent on display.
The best of the best. I'll give you that.
Okay, we saw the first round of the heavyweight Grand Prix.
Yep.
We saw a new champion crowned. And we saw the vindication of two champions who were looking for the respect that they felt they deserved.
I'll give you that. Yeah. Lots of action there.
Yeah. But before we talk about those matches, we got to give the rundown on the segment we like to call the official decision.
The official decision.
This is the official decision, the segment where we talk about the fights from Saturday night, from War Weekend. We'll start with Bellator. It was Lima versus MacDonald from the Forum in Inglewood, California.
Inglewood.
All right, so Aaron Pico defeated Shane Crutchkin via knockout, or as I like to say, belly punch.
Golly, that's nasty.
It was.
God. So there's something about getting hit in your kidneys versus your head. Knock me out any day. It's the kidneys that just, they ruin you.
Oh, my gosh.
Golly.
So when I saw this, I thought of Mike Tyson's Punch-Out when Bald Bull, you know, you used to be able to punch him right in the stomach, and he's like, oh, and he would just turn and fall. That was what happened to Shane Crutchkin.
I felt so bad for him. That looked infinitely painful.
He was like, no, thank you. I just want to lay down now. Michael Chandler defeated Gochi Yamauchi. Chael Sonnen defeated Rampage Jackson.
Did he defeat him, though?
I called it.
I mean, we didn't even see a fight.
I called it.
I feel bad for Rampage. Here's why. Because everyone likes to talk about, oh, well, Chael was just fighting smart. That's the way you're supposed to fight. But then those same fans will be so upset when a champion in championship rounds decides to just hang back and not press forward. Those same people are the ones who didn't like Amanda Nunes.
Okay, here's the thing. There's no way Chael Sonnen is going to bang. He's not going to stand and bang with the guy who outweighs him by like 30 pounds and is a banger.
What's more fun to watch as a fan?
It's not about watching something as a fan if you're the guy fighting in the ring.
I mean, I'll grant you that. I would not want to stand and bang with Rampage, but come on. Put on a show or something.
But even more than that, it's like you have a choice. You can stand and bang with Rampage Jackson, or you can pick up a leg and he will instantly fall down and be like a turtle and not know how to get up.
Yeah, Rampage, I mean, it's time to retire. So Chael says that Rampage shouldn't retire. He should drop weight and go back to light heavyweight. I say it's time to retire. He's not changing his game.
Oh, it's not. I mean, the days of pride when you could just slam people, and he slammed Chael in the first round.
He did, and I got excited. Like, this is happening. No.
So he slammed Chael, but Chael still got him down in that round.
Yeah.
Took him down once in each round, which is $30,000 because Rampage Jackson told Chael, I will give you $10,000 for every time you take me down. That's $30,000.
Golly. They can't be serious about that.
I don't think he's going to pay it up. I don't think it's legitimate. But, you know, it's one of those things where if you know your weakness is takedowns and you know that the other guy is a wrestler, you don't bet him $10,000 a takedown that he can take you down.
You do it if you're trying to get in his head.
Why? I would just take you down. I'm like, okay, you don't think I can take you down? I'm going to take you down.
Hey, it didn't work out for Rampage.
It didn't work out. Plus, he lost. He's out of the tournament, and he owes Chael $30,000.
Boo, do better.
Rory MacDonald,
my man,
defeated Douglas Lima via unanimous decision. Now, I know that you and I talked about when Bellator and UFC went head-to-head that we would see a dominant performance from the UFC representative, which would be Rory MacDonald.
Yep.
I don't think we saw it. I think that was a close fight. I think Douglas Lima was game the whole fight.
He was game the whole fight, but this is how Roy looks every fight. Like, he's always in a dog fight. He doesn't dominate anymore.
Well, maybe that's why
That's why he's at Bellator. He just couldn't get to the championship because he doesn't know how to dominate. He knows how to fight, to stay in there and be strategic, but he doesn't know how to dominate.
So what are you going to say for people who are listening that says, what about when Rory MacDonald dominated Tyron Woodley, who is currently the welterweight champ?
I'll ask you how long ago that was.
That was some time ago.
Therein lies the problem.
So I would like to see Douglas Lima fighting, in the UFC. I would love to see what he could do. Because even though he lost to Rory MacDonald, I think that was a close enough fight to say that he is a talented fighter.
Oh, without a doubt. But I think this sets up for something we'll talk about later in the show. But they can't afford to let a talent like Lima go. There's no way he crosses over to the UFC because he's going to get paid more at Bellator. He's going to have more opportunities with Bellator. There's literally no reason for him to leave the promotion.
Okay. Speaking of the other promotion, UFC 220. Miocic versus Ngannou at the TD Garden Arena in Boston, Massachusetts. Give me some of that Boston accent like you did last time.
Boston accent. It was a wicked awesome fight, guys. That's all I got.
All right.
I'm mad at the Patriots.
Okay. Hey, by the way, fly, Eagles, fly.
The one time in life that I was like fully on board sending you Eagles stuff, like I'm an Eagles fan this month.
Wait. So you're going to send me some Eagles stuff?
I already did. No. Not actual Eagles stuff.
Okay, because you heard it. It's recorded. Come on now. KC is sending me some actual Eagles stuff.
It'll be a halfway burnt Eagles jersey. A desecrated Eagles flag.
How are you going to desecrate it? Let's go on. Rob Font defeated Thomas Almeida via knockout in the second round.
Yeah.
Okay, we both were on that Almeida train.
I really thought Tommy Nuss had something for us.
Yeah, he didn't.
Rob Font so much.
Rob Font was just in his face.
Yep.
Like moving all over. It was really interesting to see. And Rob Font is a hometown hero. He's based in Massachusetts.
Yeah. That's all I got.
Okay. So here's the thing. You have fight of the night, right?
Yeah.
There should be at least a demerit for worst fight of the night. Gian Villante versus Francimar Barroso. That was the worst fight ever.
Yeah.
So we were talking about it while we were watching, and what George, my trainer, was saying, George Stallworth, G Money.
Shout out.
He was like, there's no way that you run away the entire fight like that. So Barroso has to be hurt. So one of the things I want to do is look to see if we find out that Barroso had some type of injury that he was trying to conceal during the whole fight.
Because I don't know, but it was an interesting strategy. My man ran for the entire first round.
And then lost by split decision. How do you do that? Yeah. How do you get on your horse, run away for an entire fight, and then there is a judge who says you won that fight?
I was livid. I don't understand how that worked.
I don't know either. Like, it was the most bizarre thing because, Francimar Barroso threw a spinning back fist that landed on Gian Villante's butt. Like, A spinning back fist, for those of you who haven't seen it, is supposed to hit the person in the face. He missed by an entire torso. And there is a judge that said he won that fight.
I think both of them should have lost that fight.
I mean, technically, he landed the punch.
Did he? I mean, come on.
All right. Calvin Kattar. It's not Qatar.
Oh, Qatar.
It's not Qatar. It's like Cater. Defeated Shane Burgos. Hurricane Shane Burgos. Now, Shane Burgos came into this fight undefeated. And Calvin Kattar put on a show.
Yeah, he did.
It was fight of the night. This guy was throwing bunches of punches, landing all kinds of things. He lost the second round because Burgo came back. But in the third round, he landed this combo that just put Burgos out for the night.
Yeah, that was wicked.
Beautiful. It was beautiful. Co-main event. Daniel D.C. Cormier defeated Volkan Oezdemir via TKO in the second round. Actually, it was light punch to the forehead while you're holding the other person where they can't do anything about it.
Volkan looked defeated immediately once he realized that the shorter Daniel Cormier was winning the exchanges. He gave up in there.
Oh, man.
He has so much quit in him because Daniel put in work.
He did. But the thing is that you start seeing, this is what I was talking about before, is that when you have a guy who is an elite striker who doesn't have very much wrestling or Brazilian jiu-jitsu, they are not going to be able to compete at the highest level.
Where did we see that? I think there was another place that showed up.
In the main event of the evening, Stipe Miocic defeated number 1 Francis the Predator Ngannou via unanimous decision. By the way, I called it last week. Listen to the end of the show. You don't have to listen to the whole thing. Just go back to the end where you hear me say, I'd like to see more from Francis Ngannou. He's only given us a first round. I think Stipe Miocic is going to be smart enough not to get knocked out in the first round, and we're going to see what happens in the later rounds. I said Stipe Miocic was either going to finish him or win by unanimous decision, and he did.
But it was an absolute shame that Miocic didn't finish Francis. So I was Team Francis the whole time. So my pick, of course, was Miocic. But I'm secretly rooting for Francis the whole time. I just want to see the most massive knockout that's ever existed. Like, we're all hoping for that. And then he punched himself out in the first 15 seconds.
Yes. This is what we talk about.
He was done.
He was, yeah. We talk about adrenaline dump, that someone comes into the ring, they are so hyped that they try to kill the opponent in the first minute of the fight, and it's a 25-minute fight.
Yeah.
Someone else I know tried to do that. Like blow all their energy in the first round and then not have anything left in the rest of the fight. You know anybody who did that?
Look, in my defense, the championship rounds are hard.
Here's the thing. Francis Ngannou, he could have won that fight even though he was tired.
Yo, he still had some whip on the end of those punches.
Oh, yeah.
Going into there was nothing he did in the fourth other than get smothered.
Yeah, he landed
even in the
0 punches.
That was the worst fourth round I can think of in UFC history.
He landed 0 punches.
It was one of those that as soon as Miocic tied him up, well, here we go for 4 minutes of laying because Miocic wasn't going to be able to put him away.
But this is the thing. So watching, Casey and I have watched many, many, many years of mixed martial arts. So you start seeing patterns in the action that's in the cage.
Yeah.
And so Francis Ngannou is exhausted. Stipe Miocic is holding him behind his back, and it's like,
making him carry the weight the whole time. Yeah.
We're like, okay, rear naked choke.
Right? Take his arm.
Arm bar.
Oh, my gosh.
Got none of that. Okay, another pattern that we see all the time. Someone comes in to try to take you down. They leave their head right under your arm. We're thinking guillotine. It's a choke.
I was thinking at least try for a half-hearted uppercut.
I mean, he couldn't. He was too tired.
But the guillotine, all he had to do was lay. Literally just lock his arm.
Yes.
And lay. And it's fight over. And neither of them had any ability to close a fight.
So this is why, after watching this, I think your next heavyweight champion is going to be Fabricio Verdum.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to take...
Yeah.
They got nothing for this dude.
But there's the talk of Kane coming back.
Kane. So
At sea level, Kane.
Sea level Kane. Well, we want to see that. So if you go back to our Cain Velasquez versus Fabricio Verdum in Mexico City, which was at altitude, and so Kane gassed out because he wasn't used to the thin air. But Verdum has to win the belt first.
Why?
He's got to beat Stipe. I think the next fight is Stipe Miocic versus Fabricio Verdum 2. Verdum.
I don't think so.
Why not?
Because Dana White wants something else.
Okay, we'll get to that.
Bum, bum.
All right. So there it is. That is the results from War Weekend. You know what I have to say? Let's close the book on this one and put it on the shelf because this one is
Rock Chalk Jayhawk.
I hate you. This one is history. But you know what? I promised you guys that instead of going straight to finding the angles, we would take a pit stop with the hype train.
The hype train.
This is the Hype Train, where we discuss whether or not we are supporting some of these key fighters coming out of the activity and the events on Saturday night. Are you on or are you off the Hype Train for Aaron Pico? This guy is becoming a knockout artist, like Da Vinci, like Michelangelo. Pico.
Boo! You're better than that. You're better than that. Come on. Golly. So I'm off the hype train. Or I was never on the hype train.
That's what I was asking.
believe it.
You want to get on the hype train
No.
for Aaron Pico?
I refuse to. Here's why. He's going to become one of these guys who relies on his knockout power and forgets to become a complete fighter. This early success with his hands going to break him.
Okay, so he was 1-1 coming into this. So he's very early in his career.
Yep.
I think I'm not going to get on the hype train. You have a good point. Let's see what else he can do.
Yeah.
All right, here's the next one. The Bostonian or the Massachusettsan Rob Font. He put in some work on Almeida.
He did. But for me, I can't like him yet. I don't know. There was
Okay. All right.
Like he's a good fighter. But let me see a little more.
All right. He put in work. Dude, I'm on the Rob Font hype train. I'm gonna go ahead and punch that ticket. Calvin Kattar.
I'm on the train. I gotta be. Yeah. That was a dominant performance.
I like the way he put his combos together. I mean, this guy was throwing 4, 5 punches at a time, and he was landing them. He wasn't doing a lot of damage at first, but he was landing those punches. So I think we're both on that one. Volkan Oezdemir.
I refuse to get on that train.
Yeah,
that's going nowhere. Yeah,
no, I'm not on that train. Here's one.
He's got too much quit in him for anyone to join that.
I didn't see him quit, but I do know that he doesn't have the ground game that he needs to be champion.
He doesn't have the standing game. He got worked by a shorter fighter.
I don't know, because Daniel was always looking for the
Daniel's
takedown.
Basically having a jump punch to connect with his head, and he still lost.
Oh gosh. Okay. I'm not on the train because Oezdemir has no ground game. You gotta have a ground game for me. And speaking of not having a ground game, Francis Ngannou. Oh. You still on that hype train?
Yes, 100%.
That's all you got.
Here's why.
Okay.
I'm on the hype train because Ngannou this is the biggest stage he's ever seen in his life.
Right.
The adrenaline dump was real. He bought into the hype that he is the strongest man in the world. And had any of those connected, Stipe knew his day was done.
Well, you saw Stipe's face in the post-fight.
Golly.
I mean, his face was rearranged.
That was nasty.
He looked like the Elephant Man.
And that's with a majority of Ngannou's punches not landing. Like, those are all grazed shots. If one of those lands flush, Miocic was done. But that's the problem is Francis has to get better with his accuracy. He has to learn how to stand up. Like, legitimately, if you're down on the ground, don't get grappling. Just learn how to stand back up. You can't muscle your way back to the top.
So my thing is this. He's going to have problems if he can't grapple. Like, there was no sprawl.
None.
So I got one more fight for Francis Ngannou.
Okay.
Because I think that the holes in his game are not something that you can fix easily. You're not going to be able to just say, okay, we're going to teach you how to stand up, how to wall walk, how to shrimp. We're going to teach you these skills because you can't afford to get taken down.
But don't you think that a majority of that isn't that it's an inability to do those things versus he was just tired? I think he knew in his mind what to do, but fatigue wouldn't allow that to happen.
My big problem with that is if you get, not that Daniel Cormier would wrestle him or fight him, but Anthony Rumble Johnson is talking about coming back as a heavyweight. He is a legit wrestler. I don't think that Ngannou is able to keep from getting taken down, and I think he gets gassed out just trying to keep Anthony Johnson off him. That's the same thing because you got for Kane. You also have that for Fabricio Verdum. That's three fighters that Francis Ngannou is going to have to face at some point in his career, and all of them have a legit ground game. Stipe Miocic wore him out, and Stipe doesn't have a lick of ground game. Yeah.
Well, the downside here is he's going the big country route, where if he lands the big shot, it's lights out. If he doesn't, well, he can't even go the big country route because big country has world-class jiu-jitsu.
Right.
So sorry, I almost hopped off the train right there. Hold on now.
I was sitting by you on the train. Now I'm sitting by the door.
Right.
So if I don't see some improvement from the ground game perspective,
But who does he fight next to get that experience?
The bad part is that I personally don't believe that Francis Ngannou needs to fight Verdum or Kane because I think that there's a funnel that you have to build for your champion. And so I think that if you have Ngannou fight Kane or Ngannou fight Verdum and Ngannou wins, then you've just pushed those guys down the ladder.
Yeah.
You can't afford to do that. You don't have enough talent at heavyweight. So
I don't have enough talent in the UFC right now.
Well, you're right. That's a problem. How do you think they should solve that? I got one more hype train for you. So hold on to that question. Yeah. But we will address that. Stipe Miocic. Has Stipe Miocic earned a ticket punch from you?
All right. I like Stipe Miocic. I hate his fans.
Okay. Stipe Miocic is currently the heavyweight champion who has defended 3 consecutive times. No one's ever done that in the UFC.
We also have to remember it's 3 consecutive times.
That's my point.
Like, everyone gets all hyped about him. Like, you guys remember Demetrius Johnson fights in the same promotion, right?
I was going to say the weight class.
Oh,
no.
Come on now.
Demetrius Johnson is
but, I mean, 3 is, that's awesome. Congrats. Like, you've done your job. Good work.
Okay.
But it's not 10. I mean.
I'm with you. 3 is not impressive to me if the record was 2.
Yeah. It's like, oh, okay.
But he is calling himself the greatest of all time.
Of all time?
He is calling himself the greatest of all time. Don't want to. So you are not getting on the hype train?
Nah.
I'm not on the hype train either. I just had to put him on there. All right. That is the hype train segment for this one. Tell us who's on your hype train or whose hype train you're on. because that you
nailed it. Words are hard.
Words are hard. So tell us which hype train you're on. Are you on any of these guys' hype train?
I'm on the Ronda Rousey hype train.
Oh my gosh. Is that thing
where it all began?
That's like a museum now. You used to go, you can find those train
in San Francisco.
They're
the Cable
rusted.
Car Museum in San Francisco. That's awesome.
All right. So let's get into one of my favorite segments, Finding the Angles.
Finding the Angles.
All right, this is Finding the Angles.
Finding the what?
Finding the Angles. It's Finding the Angles.
Wait, was that my laugh?
Yeah, it was your laugh. This is Finding the Angles, where we discuss some of the top headlines making waves in the wake of UFC 220 and Bellator Lima versus. See, I'm done, dude.
You're done, son.
You're done. You're done.
2 plus
now.
2, that's 4. Minus 1, that's 3. Quick maths.
All right, let's go at the top. So Stipe Miocic, after he was awarded the belt and still heavyweight champion, he took the belt from Dana White, handed it to his coach, and had his coach put the belt on him. Not Dana White.
Dana White's lost mad respect from all of his fighters.
So they asked him in the post-fight press conference, why did you take the belt from Dana White and have your coach put the belt on you? And what Stipe Miocic said is, it's because my coach respects me.
Yeah, it's true. Dana doesn't care about these guys. He doesn't. He's just trying to make money off of Conor. Like, he still hasn't. If it wasn't true, then we'd see a lot better UFC roster. Like, Dana White is focused solely on making a couple of stars, and he's completely undersold Miocic. He's completely undersold Cormier. He doesn't care about the rest of these fighters.
Well, it's less. To me, it's less that he doesn't care about his fighters, and it's the fact that he only talked about Francis Ngannou.
Yeah.
This was Francis Ngannou coming to take his belt from Stipe Miocic, and not Stipe Miocic, your two-time defending heavyweight champion who worked his way up the ladder over the course of several years to become champion.
No, I mean, I'm fully on board with Miocic on this. Like, he got no love. He was disrespected, and his act of defiance wasn't even that disrespectful. So it was true. It's kind of like when George St. Pierre gives the belt to someone else in his fight camp as an honor thing. Like, there is respect in the sport, and Dana White doesn't play by those rules.
So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Stipe Miocic and the relationship with Dana White. Because at the same time, Dana White is someone that you're going to have to work with. If you're in the promotion where he's the president and he's calling the shots,
he's the shot caller.
He's the shot caller. So what are you going to do, Stipe? All right. So one of the shots that Dana White wants to call is Daniel Cormier versus Stipe Miocic.
And this rings of poor management. Why is it that every time we have a champion move towards the end of his lineup that we have to have champion versus champion?
Yeah. I mean,
are no divisions? Like, literally every division they're trying to get it champion versus champion. What is wrong with your divisions when the only compelling fights you can make now are with champion versus champion?
Well, I do think that there's a problem in light heavyweight because Daniel Cormier doesn't really have anyone else to fight.
Nope.
But that's okay. Build yourself a light heavyweight contender. But don't take Daniel Cormier, especially with Cain Velasquez, his training partner, who he has provided tons of deference to the heavyweight crown, and saying, hey, Cain Velasquez is coming back to heavyweight. I don't want anything to do with heavyweight because that's my guy's division. So why would Dana White offer to make the fight between Daniel Cormier and Stipe Miocic when we know that Daniel Cormier doesn't want to go to heavyweight? That's why he went to light heavyweight.
Well, because in Dana's mind, Daniel Cormier could always just surrender the belt.
which set me off. Dana White actually said that in an interview. They said...
With a serious face.
Yeah, like, okay, so, hey, if Daniel Cormier beat Stipe Miocic and he doesn't want to defend it, he could just walk away. No, you don't have champions.
It was a ridiculous notion. I'd like to think that this was one of those that Dana White had been through interview after interview at that point and was just talking.
Oh, my God. Just because now we've set a precedent.
There we go.
With the belt just being given up. Mm-hmm. So George St. Pierre gave up his belt, and Conor McGregor is now
allegedly
giving up the belt.
Because Dana White still won't say that Conor is not the champion. He refused multiple times in the last interview.
This is why I just wish Bellator would get their act together.
They have this again, another reason why Lima should never leave. There's a mess starting to happen in the UFC, and it starts with you've got Joe Rogan leaving, you've got the divisions all in disarray. What is there? And the fighter pay is constantly an issue.
Okay, so
UFC is breaking down.
So it really is. I mean, I guess because we've been in there watching for so long that we know when there were compelling fights, there was lots of talent in multiple divisions, and now all we're getting is weight class versus weight class, champion versus champion. Speaking of, TJ versus DJ.
So that may actually be a thing coming up. DJ is game for it, and that could be interesting. Personally, I don't want to see it happen.
He wants to do it during International Fight Week, which is in July, and so that's a big time where there's a lot of big-time fights.
He wants to do it because there's money in it.
Yeah.
And that is the only reason for that fight to happen. It's a money fight.
But that's a lower weight class champion fighting a higher weight class champion. Yeah. So it's no different than Daniel Cormier fighting Stipe Miocic. So Cyborg versus Nunes. Nunes.
Yeah.
Lower weight class champion fighting higher weight class champion. I'm sick of it. This is wrong. This is wrong.
So the solution here has to be doing a better job, not having a Miocic versus a Francis thing where you've gone all in on one fighter and we forget a whole other fighter. Like, you have to do a better job of promoting the fights. So first of all, we're interested in them, and also a better job of making good fights.
Okay. I don't know that we've talked about this before, but this is what they need to do.
All right.
The Performance Institute is a wonderful resource for the UFC. Build another one. Build it on the East Coast. The next thing you do is you hire a ton of talent scouts. People who can go and look at all these regional promotions and start looking for prototypical fighters. Not fighters that have these wonderful records of like 10-0 and things like that. What you're looking for are certain builds. You're looking for certain attributes that make up a prototypical fighter at a certain weight. Then you bring that person to train at the Performance Institute so that you begin to build a pipeline of potential contenders at the UFC level.
So, game changer. We just get a Shaolin monk in to wreck shop.
Oh, dude, I would love that. Everybody starts going to China, go to the Buddhist temple.
I just only a little bit, because Joe Rogan has talked about this quite a bit, and they've had a couple of guys try to come in with that Shaolin style of fighting, but it has not been met with great success.
It doesn't hold up against MMA. It just doesn't. But here's the thing. If you have a West Coast Performance Institute and an East Coast Performance Institute, then what you end up having is you begin to build company people who come from both sides of the United States that feed into the main promotion that you can pit against each other.
Yeah.
So it changes the nature of the competition that we're seeing, because now this is an East Coast Performance Institute prospect versus a West Coast Performance Institute prospect. And what you end up doing is you still have your main card fighters, But now you've got all of these fighters coming in that's filling up your prelims. And now they're fighting each other, and they all have a similar style. They all have a similar build, and they all have the similar training.
Well, it's weird because UFC does have smaller promotions that never make it onto TV. There's like this whole shadow something thing that they do on like Saturday at like 3 a.m. when no one's watching. But why aren't those being used as means of vetting more fighters?
I don't know.
They could just be doing better at what they have, and they just don't.
Yeah, I don't know. But that's what they need to focus on. They need to invest in building the next generation fighters and having a funnel that continues to fill so that you don't run don't run dry in all of these weight classes. All right. Speaking of fighters, Joanna Jędrzejczyk. I told you she was going to get that rematch versus Rose Thug No Hair.
I mean, you cannot beat No Hair Namajunas. You can't.
Yeah, that's good. But I told you she was going to get it. Now, you and I, as we were doing show prep, you were like, why is it that Joanna Jędrzejczyk gets the instant rematch?
But Cody doesn't.
But Cody doesn't. Here's why. How many times did Cody defend that belt? 0 times. How many times
this was audio.
How many times did Joanna Jędrzejczyk defend her belt?
A couple times.
She was on her 8th defense. She was tying Ronda Rousey. Or she was going to beat Ronda Rousey in title defenses. So when you look at the top of the strawweight division, Joanna Jędrzejczyk's already beaten all of them. So,
though I'd love to see her against Valentina again.
Oh, that would be a great fight. But she already beat Valentina. So
there's no one else for her to work.
There's no one else to put her under that she hasn't already beaten. Yes. So it only makes sense that she gets another title shot. Now, if she loses again, now she has to fall.
When she loses again.
If.
There's nothing Joanna can bring that she didn't already have. Like, there's nothing new.
Joanna Jędrzejczyk will rip her head off this next time. Flash fight pick. All right. Tony Ferguson versus Khabib.
I really, 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 really hope that Tony Ferguson retains the title here, and it is the true title, because Tony Ferguson versus Conor McGregor, to me, is a much more interesting matchup.
Okay. I think either way it goes, Conor is in trouble. I don't think Conor comes back to fight.
Yeah.
I'm excited about this fight. I just hope that they actually strip Conor of the title and they don't have Tony Ferguson walking in as the interim champion. It's wrong. They shouldn't do it. But it's going to be a great fight.
I think it'll be an amazing fight. Like, just the skill set. I love that Tony's so rangy compared to Khabib. Mm-hmm. Like, we'll get to see if Khabib can shorten the distance there. And I think he can.
Yep.
And so that's when it gets super interesting.
Well, then you got Tony Ferguson is a elite Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guy as well. Yeah. So I don't know that Khabib has faced someone with all of the different skills and the ability to be as creative as Tony Ferguson in putting those combinations together.
Except for when he wrestled bears.
Maybe bears. Robert Whittaker, last one. Robert Whittaker, staph infection. So we found out why Robert Whittaker did not continue to fight Luke Rockhold at UFC Perth in Australia. It's because he's got a serious staph infection. That's the reason.
Oh, I think this has come up before.
So you got to ask yourself, if Robert Whittaker says, I am not going to fight because I have a staph infection, what happened to Kevin Lee, who fought Tony Ferguson and hid his staph infection? You got a professional, Robert Whittaker.
One's in the hospital right now.
So why? So it's the fact that he
in severe condition.
He is in the hospital with the staph infection, and that's why he didn't choose to fight. That you're saying he would have fought with the staph infection if it hadn't hospitalized him?
It's plausible.
I think that it's
You
disrespectful,
think he's ducking?
dishonorable,
Oh my gosh!
unprofessional.
You would fight with a staph infection.
I would not fight with a staph infection.
Okay.
I would apologize and I'd say, listen, I've trained, you've trained, but I've got a staph infection. I bleed easily. So therefore, I don't want to get it on you.
Fair.
That's a respectful thing. That's sportsmanship. Kevin Lee, take notes. Go to the hospital. Anything else?
Nope.
All right.
Support it.
We got
But
one
wait.
segment left to go.
There's more.
But wait, there's more. We got a fight card. There's fights coming up this weekend.
Prove it.
So let's look at the fight card. All right, this is the fight card. This is where we look at the fights coming up this weekend, and we've got Bellator card and we've got a UFC card. But this is not a war weekend, in my opinion.
No.
This is just fights this weekend. So, at the Pechanga Resort and Casino in Temecula, California, you've got the next Bellator fight card. I think it's 194. Jake Smith versus Steve Cozzola in a lightweight competition. Kendall Grove, former UFC guy. Remember, he won an Ultimate Fighter. He's like 6'6", but he won it lightweight.
Nice.
Versus AJ Matthews. Saad Awad versus JJ Ambrose. And the main event is a catchweight fight. Lorenz Larkin versus Fernando Gonzalez.
My dude.
So, flash fight pick, Lorenz Larkin or Fernando Gonzalez?
I'm going Gonzalez. Just because you stumbled.
All right. Lorenz Larkin's coming off a loss to Phil Daly.
Davis?
Not Phil Davis. Paul Daly. There you go.
Oh, the golfer.
No, damn.
I'm totally joking here. I have no idea.
Simplex, Paul Daly.
Nailed it.
Gosh, you got me questioning myself now. All right. So I got Francisco Gonzalez. I don't think that Lorenz Larkin is back yet.
Yeah.
All right. In Charlotte, North Carolina, you've got the UFC Fight Night. Drew Dober versus Frank Camacho. You know that guy?
Isn't he the president from...
Yeah. Gregor Gillespie versus Jordan Rinaldi. Dennis Bermudez versus Andre Touchy Philly.
Idiocracy. The president from Idiocracy is Camacho. I refuse to just let that awkward moment go. I know the movie.
Okay, and then you got Jacare Souza versus Derek Brunson.
Jacare.
All right, flash fight picks. We got Dennis Bermudez versus Andre Touchy Philly.
The Bermudez.
It's a good call.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm Lee Corso. Not so fast. Jacare Souza versus Derek Brunson.
Oh, this is a little tougher.
That's a tough one.
But I like Jacare.
Wow.
I like Jacare.
Not Jacare?
No, Jacare.
Jacare. It is Jacare. I'm sorry.
That was like Jacare.
Yeah, Jacare.
That's a street name.
I'm a Texan, and it's Jacare.
Yeah, no. Brunson is a heck of a brawler. He's got
knockout power.
Yeah, but there's a reason why Souza's number 3.
All right, you got Souza. I'm taking Brunson. So I'm going Dennis Bermudez there. Derek Brunson for the win.
And Gillespie, just because.
We'll see. I'll definitely check. And guess what? That's our show. Follow us on social media. On Twitter, I'm at CST Ryan.
And I am at CST_KC.
You can check out the website at www.combatsportstalk.com. And you can find us on iTunes, SoundCloud, Facebook, like our Facebook page, and Instagram. I am at combatsportstalk.com. Nope, just Combat Sports Talk.
And I am at Push Pull Pray.
I've seen the stuff that you put on there. It's some interesting stuff.
It's mostly my weightlifting, but we'll throw in some UFC here and there.
Okay, all right. Let's get out of here. Our theme music is composed by Scott McCurry at scottdeancountry.com. Casey Onyebuchi produced our lead-ins. I want to thank you for joining us for another edition of Combat Sports Talk. For Casey Onyebuchi, I'm Ryan Smith, reminding you to keep your hands up, your chin tucked, and throw bombs.